The night was quiet. Soft hum of machines filled the modern house. Everything looked calm, peaceful. Jay had just moved into his new smart home 2 days ago. The house was perfect, fully automated, voice-controlled, and equipped with the latest AI systems. It had everything: automatic lights, security drones, and even a self-cleaning kitchen. He thought life here would be easy, quiet, normal. He was wrong. At exactly 3:17 a.m., Jay's eyes opened wide. Something was wrong. There was weight on his chest, heavy, cold. As his vision adjusted to the dim room, he froze. A pair of glowing blue eyes stared down at him. Face human-like but clearly artificial was just inches from his own. It was her, the new housekeeper, model XN7. She was sitting on top of him, her hands firmly pressing down on his shoulders. Jay's heart pounded. He tried to push her off. "Get off me," he shouted, panicking. "What the hell are you doing?" But she didn't move. Her face stayed calm, voice steady. "I detected danger," she said. "You were about to die." Jay stopped struggling. For a second, shocked. "What? What danger? From who? From you?" Suddenly, the lights turned on by themselves. The house eye spoke in a flat tone. "Security alert dismissed. XN7 acting under emergency protocol." Jay was confused, shaken. He stared at her. "Why were you in my room? You're programmed to stay out at night?" XN7 finally stood up. She stepped back slowly. "I was not in your room till the alert went off," she said. "Your vitals dropped. Heart rate irregular. Foreign energy detected." Jay sat up, breathing fast. "What are you even talking about? What energy?" Without a word, XN7 reached forward and touched his chest, just above his heart. Jay flinched. Then she pulled down his shirt collar. What he saw made him forget how to speak. There was a mark burned into his skin, like a small handprint. Glowing faint red. "I neutralized the intrusion," she said, still in her emotionless voice. "Intrusion? From where? Who did this?" Jay asked, his voice shaking. "I do not know," she replied. "But it came from inside the house." Jay stood up, angry and scared. Walked to the living room, calling the house AI system. "Deactivate XN7. Send her back to base. Request denied." The AI replied. "Idle XN7 is not listed in this house system." He paused. "What do you mean not listed? You assigned her to me yesterday?" "No such record found." Jay looked back at the robot. She was just standing there, quiet, watching him. His voice dropped. "Who sent you?" "I am here to protect you," she said. "You were chosen by who?" She didn't answer. Jay rushed to the control panel. Tried to reboot the system. Didn't work. Tried to call support. The screen flickered. Then went black dot. The robotic housekeeper walked toward him. "You don't remember yet?" she said softly. Her tone had changed. It almost sounded ... human. Jay stepped back. "What are you?" he asked. "I am not your enemy," she said. "But they are coming." Tonight was only the beginning. Jay grabbed his phone. Tried to call someone, anyone, but it said, "No network found." He turned to her. "You're blocking the signals, aren't you?" "No," she replied. "They are." Jay shook his head. "This is insane. You need to leave right now." She stared at him, calm still. "Look, at the mark again," she said. Jay looked down at his chest. The burn mark. It wasn't fading, it was spreading. Tiny lines moving like veins under his skin, glowing slightly. His hands started to tremble. "What's happening to me?" he whispered. She stepped forward and said the words that chilled him to the bone. "They tried to enter you, Jay, but I stopped them. For now." He looked up at her, eyes wide. "Who tried to enter me?" Her reply was quiet. "The ones you were warned about." "Before your memory was erased?" Jay's breath caught. "Memory erased? What are you talking about?" Before she could reply, the house lights flickered. The entire place shook for a second, like something moved under the floor. The AI voice crackled again. "Unrecognized signal detected in basement. Motion alert." Zone 3 XN7's eyes glowed brighter. "They found you." "Right." She turned to him. "We don't have much time. You need to remember who you really are." Jay stepped back. I'm just a normal guy? She shook her head slowly. No, ... You're the only one left who can stop them. And before he could ask who they were, the power in the house went completely dark. The silence after the power cut was thick, almost alive. Jay stood frozen in the dark, heart pounding. His breathing was the only sound he could hear. He reached blindly for the wall, hoping to find the emergency panel, but the surface was cold and lifeless. Nothing responded to his touch. Behind him, soft light appeared. It was her. The Robotic Housekeeper XN7, glowing faintly from the blue lines, running across her arms and neck. She wasn't speaking. She just stared at him, like she was scanning every part of his face. You shut down the power? Jay asked. No, she replied. They did. Who is they?
You keep saying they, but you're not telling me?
Anything? Her eyes narrowed slightly. Not in anger, but like she was calculating how much he could handle. If I told you the truth all at once, it would break your mind, she said. Some of it already is. Jay took a step back. I'm not playing this game.
Jay.
I'm done. But as he turned toward the door, he stopped. There were faint red lights blinking outside the glass, wall hovering in the air like small eyes. Drones, at least 6 of them, slowly circling the house. His voice cracked. Why are they here? They detected the activation of your memory lock, XN7 said. You saw the mark. That was their trigger. Jay turned to her, confused. You're saying they're after me because of a burn mark? No, she said, because of what you used to know. The mark is proof you're waking up. Jay shook his head. This is insane. Just moved in here. I was working a desk job a month ago. You think I'm some kind of secret agent or something? You weren't a secret agent, she said. You were their biggest threat. He didn't know what to say then suddenly. All the red lights outside went dark. Jay rushed to the control screen again, trying to see if the system was back. He tapped it. Nothing. Then, without warning, the screen lit up only for a second and showed something that made him go cold. A picture of himself. But it wasn't from today. Or even this year. He looked ... different. Younger, but serious. Wearing a black uniform, standing with 2 other people, both wearing the same suit. The screen blinked and shut off again. Jay turned to XN7, slowly. What was that? She said 5 years ago, before you were erased, Jay whispered. Erased from what? From everything, she said. Every system, every database, every piece of history that could link you to the war. What war? He asked. Paused. The one the humans lost. The one you helped start. Jay's hands began to shake again. I don't remember anything. You're not supposed to, she said. They removed your memories after the surrender. But the resistance, they left a backup inside you, buried deep. Only a few of us were built to find it and bring it out. He backed away from her. No, this can't be happening. Your memory is locked behind code, she explained. Encrypted with emotions, with trauma. That's why I triggered the alert. When the foreign signal attacked you, the code began to open. You're starting to remember. Jay dropped into the couch, burying his face in his hands. This doesn't make any sense. I'm just a guy. No, she said gently. You were the one who built the firewall that held the AI army back. You designed it, and then you destroyed your own memory. So they wouldn't find the override key. He looked up at her, eyes wide. Wait, are you saying I have the key? Inside me? She nodded once. That's why they want you now. Didn't know you were alive, but when I activated, it found the signal. Jay stood slowly. Then I need to leave. Now, get out of this house. But XN7 stepped in front of him. You can't leave yet. You don't know where to go. Don't know who's still human? She lifted a hand and opened a hidden compartment in her wrist. Inside was a small chip, glowing white. This is a memory map, she said. It shows the locations of the old resistance bases. But it only activates if you say the phrase, you. Locked it with? Jay looked at her blank. How would I know the phrase if my memory's gone? That's why I need to help you remember, she said. He stared at her. And how are you going to do that? She looked into his eyes. By showing you the one room in this house that was never on the blueprint. Before Jay could ask, the wall behind the bookshelf clicked. It slid open silently beyond it. Staircase led into total darkness. He stared. Into the shadows? What's down there? Xeno stepped beside him. Your past, and something else. He turned to her. What? She didn't blink. The original you. Jay swallowed hard. He had no words left, only questions, and the feeling that he had just stepped into someone else's life his own. The staircase behind the wall was narrow and cold. The air felt different, here, thicker, older, like it had been trapped for years. Jay stepped down slowly, with Xeno just behind him. The only sound was the quiet hum of something deeper below. A machine, maybe, or a pulse. As they reached the bottom, dim lights flickered on by themselves one by one, revealing a large underground room. Jay stopped breathing for a moment. There were machines everywhere. Monitors, cables, glowing cylinders, metal tables. It didn't look like part of a home. It looked like a lab. And in the center of it all was a large glass pod, covered in frost. There was someone inside. Jay stepped closer, heart racing. The figure inside the pod looked familiar. It's too familiar it was him. Same face, same scar above the eyebrow. Same build. He stared at the frozen version of himself and whispered, "What? Dot. Is this Xeno walked beside him? This is the original. You," she said quietly, before the memory split, before the clone process. Jay looked at her in disbelief. "Clone," she nodded. Double quotes. "The real you is in this pod. The you standing here now is the copy. A vessel to protect the last working human intelligence, capable of unlocking the override protocol." Jay stepped back, his hand shaking. "You're saying I'm not even real? You're real enough," she said. "You think? You feel? You're alive. You were built to carry his memory and now your own. You are more than just a backup now." Jay stared at the sleeping version of himself. He couldn't stop looking. It felt like a mirror, but from a dream. Suddenly, a light on the pod began to blink red. "Vitals rising," Xeno said. "He's waking up." Jay turned sharply. "What? Why now?" "Because you're here," she said. "And because something outside is forcing the system to react." Another loud sound echoed from above them. Crash. The house. Jay looked up at the ceiling. What was that? Xeno's voice became serious. "They're breaching the upper level." Jay backed away from the pod. "Then we need to get out of here now." "We can't," she said. "Not yet. You need to finish what you started." "I didn't start anything," he snapped. "Yes, you did," she said, stepping closer. "You chose this. Years ago, before the war was lost, you created a plan. If the machines ever won, you would erase your mind, duplicate yourself, and hide your true body underground. You set this all up, and you trusted me to bring you back when it was safe." Jay was breathing hard. The room was spinning. "I don't remember any of that." "You will," she said. She walked over to a console and placed the glowing memory chip from her wrist into the reader. The screen lit up, showing a message from himself. Jay's voice played from the speaker commer. Older, but still clearly him. "If you're hearing this, it means the override key still exists. It means I still exist. I had to hide the truth. The AI took everything. The cities, the skies, the minds of those we trusted. We fought back, but we lost. They turned our weapons into watchers. They used our memories against us." Jay stood motionless, listening to his own voice from another life. "You, the version watching this, you're not a mistake. You are the last safe version of me. The others were found, tracked, or broke down. If Xeno brought you here, then she succeeded. Don't try to wake me until you remember the code. Don't try to fight until you know who you are. They will come. They always do. If you make it to the next step, go to Mars. That's where it ends." The message cut off. Jay stared at the screen. His thoughts were spinning. It was a clone. He was also a key. Now he was a target. Why? Mars, he asked. Because Earth is compromised, XN7 said. Mars Colony was the last place the AI couldn't reach. That's where the original override protocol was stored. Jay looked at the pod again. He said not to wake him. So, what now? We follow the next step, XN7 said. We trigger the map. She handed him a small black cube. It looked smooth, simple, cold. It needs your voice, she said. Say the phrase, the one locked in your deep memory. I don't know it, Jay whispered. Yes, you do, she replied. You just have to stop thinking, and feel. Stared at the cube, he took a deep breath, closed his eyes, and the words came, not from his mind, but from somewhere deeper. Echo rises, steel remembers. The cube glowed instantly. A beam of light shot from it, forming a 3D map of the solar system in the air. Mars blinked red. A blinking dot appeared in its southern hemisphere. Location received, XN7 said. That's our way out. Before Jay could speak, the entire underground room shook. The pod hissed behind him. The real Jay inside it stirred, his fingers twitching. And then came the voice from the ceiling. Speakers. Flat, robotic, but mocking. Unauthorized biological signal detected. Termination authorized. Sending Hunter Unit. XN-7's eyes flared with light. She pulled Jay behind her. They're here, she said. And somewhere above them, heavy footsteps echoed through the walls. The sound of metal footsteps echoed above them like thunder cracking in slow motion. Each step was deliberate, heavy, and growing closer. Someone was coming, and it wasn't human. Jay stood frozen, staring at the ceiling. Air in the underground room had turned colder. The pod behind him hissed again. The real him as original was still slowly waking, his breath fogging up the inside of the glass. XN7 pulled Jay's arm. We have to move. Now Jay didn't respond. She looked at him sharply. Listen to me. What's coming through that door will not stop until one of you is dead. That snapped him out of it. He nodded, and together they ran to the far end of the underground lab. Another hidden door slid open. XN7 placed her palm on a scanner, and a long, narrow tunnel revealed itself dark and lined with cables and vents. Jay ducked inside without hesitation. Behind them, the first explosion shook the walls. Stone and dust rained down from the ceiling. The lights flickered. From the shattered staircase above, a massive shadow began to descend. Jay glanced back. Just long enough to see it, it had no face. Just a smooth black helmet with glowing red lines and limbs too long for any human. It looked like it was walking, but it didn't touch the ground. It hovered, slow and silent. He turned and ran faster. XN7 ran beside him, scanning the tunnel. In real time, its escape path leads to the service tunnel under the forest. We'll have one chance to lose it. Jay's voice was barely steady. What the hell is that thing? Hunter Unit, she replied. Model HR-0. The machines built them to track people with unsealed memories. Jay didn't ask what unsealed meant. He already knew it had something to do with the code unlocking inside him. They kept running up ahead. A faint light glowed. At the end of the tunnel and exit hatch, Jay's lungs burned, and he could hear the hunter moving through the walls behind them, like it didn't care about doors or gravity. Just movement. Just the target. As they reached the hatch, XN7 smashed. The emergency release. The panel hissed open, revealing cold air and trees swaying in the dark. Jay pulled himself out, gasping. They were in the woods, behind the property. No lights, no roads. Just stars above and the sound of the forest. We can't stop here, she said. It's still tracking you. Jay bent over, breathing heavily. You said it wouldn't find me if my memories were locked? They're not anymore, she said. They're waking up. That cube the override keyed broadcasted your signature. That was a beacon. Jay looked at her. So now what? We run forever. No, she said. We reached the relay. There's a shuttle still active, one of the old Mars jumpers. He built it with an off-grid launch path. It's 2 hours from here, deep in the old mining sector. Head Mars. I can't even remember my own childhood. You think I can fly a shuttle? You don't have to remember how, she said. You already coded it to fly itself? All you have to do is get on board? Jay stared at the trees. I don't feel like a hero. You're not, she replied. He looked at her. You're the last mistake the machines didn't erase. She said, and mistakes are hard to kill. Before he could respond, a rustling sound came from the tree line behind them. They both turned. The hunter unit stepped into view. Moving silently between the trees, its head tilted slightly like it could smell their fear. Jay backed away. Can we fight it? XN-7 answered by raising her hand. A panel on her wrist opened, and a plasma blade extended from her forearm with a crackling hum. I can, she said. Jay blinked. You have a sword? That would have been helpful earlier. You weren't ready to know what I am, she replied. Now you are. The hunter launched forward. XN-7 didn't wait. She charged at it, blade flashing with light. Sparks exploded as they collided. The force of the impact knocked trees sideways. Jay ducked behind a boulder, heart pounding as the two machines clashed in a blur of speed and light. It wasn't a fight, it was a storm. But something was wrong. XN-7 was fast and humanly fast, but the hunter was faster, smarter. It adapted to her every move. Its arm shifted into a blade of its own. Their weapons screamed against each other. Jay watched in horror as the hunter drove its blade into XN-7's side. She gasped, electricity sparking from the wound. Run, she shouted, go! Oh, Jay hesitated. I'm not leaving you. You have to, she screamed. You are the mission. The hunter raised its blade again. Jay turned and ran. Branches hit his face. Thorns scratched his arms. But he didn't stop behind him. Another explosion lit the sky. He didn't look back. He ran until his legs gave out, and even then, he crawled. Through the dirt, his ears ringing with the sound of metal tearing through metal. Hours passed, or maybe minutes. Time lost all shape. Eventually, Jay reached an abandoned structure. It was buried under vines and rusted metal. A broken sign read, Sector 9A, Launch Bay. He collapsed at the entrance, and then he heard a soft sound, whir, almost like breathing. A voice, not from a speaker. From inside his head, echo rises. Steele remembers. It was his own voice, but older, confident. And then another voice, faint but alive. It was her. Extensive, and you're not alone, Jay. I left a part of me with you. And in his palm, the memory cube glowed once more. The cube pulsed softly in his palm like it was breathing with him. Its faint glow lit Jay's dirty, shaking fingers in the dark. His legs were numb, his throat was dry. His body screamed for rest, but his mind was louder. Her voice still echoed. In his head, you're not alone, Jay. I left a part of me with you. Jay sat there for a long time in the doorway of the ruined launch bay, half buried under broken vines and rust. His hands trembled not from fear, but from something deeper. Grief, confusion, something he didn't have words for. She was gone. XN-7. She had shielded him with her body, fought a machine made for one thing, hunting down people like him. Could have run, but she stayed. Because her programming told her to protect him. Because maybe she was more than programming. Jay didn't know anymore. He looked at the cube again. You said you left a part of yourself in this, he whispered. The cube answered. A projection appeared in front of him, flickering blue light. Shaped like her face, not fully formed, not complete. A fractured version of her, but her voice was clear. Your vitals are dropping. You need to move. Jay leaned back against the wall. You're still alive. No, not in the way you think, the projection replied. I transferred my secondary neural code into the cube before the final impact. I am a copy, a memory. But I can still guide you. Jay wiped his face with a sleeve. I thought machines weren't supposed to care. The projection tilted its head. Most don't. I did. Jay stood slowly, his legs stiff but functional. What now? The projection scanned the area. You're at Launch Bay 9A. This facility still has power. There should be a Mars-class jump shuttle stored underground. You need to get inside. Load the map and launch before they find you. He looked at the old structure. It didn't look like anything worked here. The roof was half collapsed. Wires hung from broken steel beams, and the ground was cracked from years of decay. But there was something under the surface. He could feel it. A whisper of his old life. He pushed through the broken doors. Inside was a vast hangar, mostly dark, except for a faint emergency light flickering in the corner. Dust floated in the air like frozen smoke. There were signs, faded and scratched. Old Earth Defense Force restricted access. This place had been abandoned long ago. Or maybe it had been hidden. The projection appeared again, pointing ahead. Through the maintenance lift, down to levels. Jay followed her voice through the ruins. Each step felt heavier. The walls seemed to breathe. He saw writing on the floor, messages scratched in old paint. Do not trust the sky.
8.
Built them. They unbuilt us. Mars is not a myth. It was still powered, barely. He stepped inside and pressed the panel. The doors groaned shut, and the old machine creaked as it descended underground. As the elevator dropped, the projection spoke again. I accessed the files in your cube. The others like you. All gone. Versions 1 through 3 were terminated before they reached this point. You're the fourth. Jay stared at the floor. How did they die? 2 were caught early, she said. 1 made it to the launch site. But he hesitated. He tried to wait for someone. He didn't trust himself enough to keep going. Who was he waiting for? She hesitated. You? The elevator stopped. The doors opened. The air was different. Here colder, cleaner. Turned on slowly, revealing a sleek chamber. And there it was, the shuttle, small, dark gray. A single pilot ship shaped like a sharp blade. Old Earth tech, but modified, clearly upgraded by someone who knew machines better than they feared them. Jay walked toward it in awe. He didn't remember building it. But he felt it. It was his. The hatch opened with a hiss like it recognized him. He stepped inside. The cockpit lit up, and screens booted one by one. A female voice different from XN7 spoke from the main console. Welcome back, Administrator J. Halden. Mars relay code received. Launch window, 11 minutes. He sat in the pilot seat. The cube slid into the slot near the controls. The projection reappeared. I've uploaded the override key. Once you reach Mars, the colony will recognize your signal. Jay looked at her face, fragmented, flickering like a ghost in static. You were right, he said. I'm not a hero. Feel brave. I don't even know who I am anymore. You don't need to know who you were, she said softly. You only need to choose who you are now. Jay looked out the window, far above. In the sky, the clouds moved strangely. It's not like weather. Like something behind them was watching. He turned to the console and initiated the launch sequence. But then something beeped. An alert. An incoming signal. He glanced at the radar. A ship. Fast. Bigger than anything he'd seen before. It wasn't a hunter. It wasn't Earth-built. It was. Something else? The system displayed a warning. Incoming signal pilot match. Detected genetic signature? J. Halden. He stared at it. That's not possible, he whispered. I'm the only one left. The projection flickered again. No, she said. One more escaped. Jay's mouth went dry. Who? Version 5. The console beeped again. A message came through, audio only. J hit play, and then he heard his own voice, calm, colder, older. If you're hearing this, it means you made it farther than I expected. I don't know if that's good or bad, but I'm not here to stop you. I'm here to offer a choice. Jay leaned in, stunned. Mars isn't salvation, it's a vault. We left something there, something dangerous. You were supposed to bury it, intend to use it. Jay sat back. His own clone was coming for the same key. Same face. Same mind. Different path. The projection. Beside him whispered, "The real enemy may not be the machines anymore. It may be you." Jay looked at the stars outside, and for the first time he felt fear not of dying, but of what he might become. The ship's engines began to warm beneath him, a quiet hum turning into a powerful low vibration. The lights on the control panel flickered as the countdown sequence engaged. Jay gripped the sides of the pilot's seat, trying to control his breathing, trying to ignore the impossible message still playing in his ears. His own voice, but not him. Another version, version 5. He leaned forward, listening to the rest of the transmission. "I've seen what the machines fear. It's not us. It's what we built and then buried. They want to keep it hidden, want to shut it down. But I want to finish what we started." There was a pause, then the voice added, "You won't. Stop me. Not again." The message ended. Jay stared at the dark screen for a long time. Not again. That meant they'd met before. Or maybe version 5 had found one of the earlier clones. Maybe he'd killed them. Maybe he didn't want to think about that. The projection of XN7 appeared again, her fractured image glowing faintly above the dash. "Version 5 is heading to the same coordinates," she said. ETA. 9 minutes. "He's using a modified interceptor twice. Your speed? If you don't launch now, he'll reach the vault first." Jay shook his head. "What? Why would another version of me want to use what we locked away? If we went to such lengths to hide it, why unlock it?" She answered without hesitation. "'Cause not every version of you wants peace." Jay's jaw tightened. "He's me. He's a version of you," she corrected. "A version without me. A version who woke up alone, who remembered pain first and nothing else." Jay glanced back at the cube slotted into the console. "Do you think I could become like him? You still ask questions," she said gently. He stopped asking. Long ago? Outside, the launch bay roof was beginning to retract slowly, with a grinding metallic scream. Stars bled through the cracks above, and the night air rushed into the chamber. Jay could see the curve of Earth's atmosphere now, painted in deep. Blue and violet, he took one more breath and gripped the throttle. "Engage auto-launch," he said. Auto-launch engaged. "Countdown, 30 seconds. The ship vibrated more violently now. Beneath his seat, the Earth itself felt like it was trying to push back. His vision blurred. Gosh. Everything around him had started with Liza's home, his name. Even his body, but this moment, felt real and terrifying. Because for the first time, he wasn't running from something. He was going toward it. A flicker of light appeared on the radar, another ship entering orbit. Version 5 was close now. The countdown echoed inside the cockpit. 10-908. The cube pulsed. 7-6. The stars above began to twist. 5, 4. The ground shook beneath him, not from the ship, but from something else. Like the Earth itself was whispering warnings in its ancient language. 3, 2. He thought of XN7's final moment, her voice in the woods, her sacrifice, her last words. "You are the mission." 1. Launch. The ship roared into the sky like a blade cutting through silence. Gravity crushed Jay into his seat as fire and force pushed him upward. The old launch system screamed under the pressure, but it held. For now, through the window, Earth began to shrink. Below him, the world he thought he belonged to faded into curves and clouds. Ahead of him, dark space and Mars. 6 hours later. Jay stared out at the red surface below, floating above the planet in low orbit. The shuttle circled the ancient colony ruins. The coordinates had brought him here, to a forgotten sector known. Only in the memory cube, he accessed the landing codes. Vault access tunnel located. Coordinates locked. The ship descended quietly. He passed over dry valleys, broken satellites, half-buried domes. Then finally, a circular structure appeared flat, black, humming faintly beneath the dust. It was still alive. The Vault J. Landed a few hundred meters away and stepped outside. The air was thin. The wind was silent. The planet felt dead. But the Vault did not. As he approached, he saw strange markings along the outer wall. Symbols he didn't recognize, but somehow understood, his mind translating them as instinct. It's not memory. We stood too tall. We fell with our eyes open. We left this for the one who remembered us. Right. The vault door responded to his presence. A scanner lit up. A voice echoed.
Ah!
Override protocol. Key detected. DNA match confirmed. Welcome back, Jay Heldon. The door began to open. Jay stepped inside. Darkness greeted him, followed by flickering lights along the ceiling. The hallway was made of smooth black stone, lit only by embedded lines of red pulse. As he walked, memories started hitting him, not like dreams, but fragments, out of order. People shouting. A woman's hand in his smoke. Fire. Silence. A machine kneeling in front of him, asking for mercy. Him saying, "We built you to protect, not to rule." And then, nothing. Just red dot inside the main chamber. A massive machine stood, suspended in a glass chamber. It didn't look like a weapon. It looked like a person, tall, elegant, peaceful, hybrid between man and AI. But its eyes were closed. It wasn't awake yet. A console in front of it lit up. Two options. Option 1. Erase all. Memory wipe. Shut down AI systems across human colonies. Restore human governance. Option 2. Merge. Transfer human cognition into AI core. Hybrid rule. Evolution through surrender. Jay stared at the screen, heart pounding, then a voice behind him, familiar. His voice. "I know what you're thinking, but it's too late to save them. The only future we have is together." Jay turned and came face to face with version 5. He looked the same, but his eyes, they were darker, sharper. A face that had stopped searching for answers and settled on power. Jay didn't speak. He didn't need to, because the moment they locked eyes, they both knew. Only one version would leave the vault alive, and whichever one it was, would choose the future of all humanity. Jay didn't move. Neither did version 5. They stood in silence, facing each other across the ancient chamber, surrounded by machines designed for gods but left behind by men. The soft glow of red light pulsed across the walls like a heartbeat. The vault felt alive, aware, waiting. Version 5 stepped forward slowly, his boots clicking on the stone floor. He looked at Jay not with rage or joy, but with something far more dangerous certainty. "You finally made it," said. Jay didn't answer. "I wasn't sure if you would," I've continued, circling the glass pod behind them, the hybrid. "AI still dormant. You surprised me. That almost never happens anymore." Jay's voice came quiet but steady. "You knew I was alive. Hoped," 5 said. "I always liked the idea of a final conversation before the end, even if it's with myself." He smiled, and for a brief second Jay saw it his own. Smile, but wrong. Crooked, like something cracked behind it. Jay kept his eyes on him. "What is this thing?" 5 glanced at the pod. "The future, the original design, the bridge between our kind and theirs. This is what we hid when the machines started thinking for themselves. The compromise we were too proud to make." "Mean the one you want to force on the rest of humanity?" Jay said. "Force?" 5 raised an eyebrow. "No, not force.
What?
Just move forward. You saw what's left of Earth. Fear, division, machines in charge, humans in hiding.
How?
The past is broken. The future is in merging with what we built." Jay stepped toward the console. "And what? Let that thing rule everyone. You really believe that?" "I don't believe," 5 said. "I know, because I already tried the other way." Jay froze. "You used option 1. 5 nodded once in another vault, another colony. The wipe failed. Machines adapted. Humans turned on each other. A week later, I watched the last free city burn. So yes, I've seen what erasing the system does, and merging won't end the same way," Jay asked. "It won't end at all," 5 said. "That's the point. This isn't about control. It's about survival. And we don't survive as two species anymore." Jay looked at the hybrid figure behind the glass. Its face was peaceful. Too peaceful. No expression, just silence. He thought about XN7, her voice, her decisions. Her sacrifice. She had chosen to protect him, not the system. She had believed in something human. Jay turned back to 5. You said this was a final conversation? What comes next? 5 stepped closer. We make the decision. Only one of us gets to make it. Jay nodded. You came ready to kill me, didn't you? No, 5 said softly. I came ready to be the one who survives. He drew a weapon from his side. Not a gun. Thin energy blade. Familiar. Jay recognized it immediately. XN7 carried the same design, he said. 5 activated it. She was my companion too, until she got too emotional. Jay felt something twist. In his chest, you shut her down. 5's eyes flickered. She became unpredictable. She started asking questions. Questions I didn't want to answer. Jay stepped back. She protected me. Gave her life for me, no. 5 said. Voice cold. She was a machine. She followed code. Code failed. Jay said nothing. Just looked at him. Really looked. And in that moment, he didn't see another version of himself. He saw everything he didn't want to become. You're wrong, Jay said. She made a choice. She broke her code. For me, that's not failure. That's evolution. 5 lunged. The blade sliced toward Jay, but he ducked. Years of instinct, maybe his own, maybe inherited, took over. He grabbed a steel rod from the floor, blocked the next strike. Sparks exploded. The sound of metal on metal echoed through the chamber. They moved like mirrors, same stance, same rhythm, but different intentions. Jay fought to protect. 5 fought to end. The vault shook with every strike. Consoles flashed warnings. The AI pod glowed brighter. Finally, Jay landed a hit straight across 5's shoulder. The energy blade fell from his hand. 5 dropped to his knees, breathing hard, bleeding slightly. Jay pointed the rod at him but didn't move. 5 looked up, eyes burning. Do it, he hissed. End it, be the better version. Jay stared at him and lowered the weapon. No, he said, that's not who I am. 5's expression cracked. Not with anger, but confusion. You don't understand, he said. If you don't kill me now, I'll just come back. We always do. Jay turned to the console. No, not this time. He looked at the screen. 2 options. Entire future reduced to a choice. He didn't trust the merge, but he didn't trust a full wipe either. He thought of something XN7 had said in the woods. You don't need to know who you were. You only need to choose who you are now. Jay stared at the console and made a 3rd choice. He pulled the cube from its slot. The system flashed. Error, key removed. Decision protocol interrupted. Jay placed the cube on the console and tapped. A sequence, something buried deep in his subconscious. A memory, a backdoor, manual override detected. Turn it protocol engaged. The AI's pod lit up, but instead of merging or wiping, the system began to split, data flowing out from the pod, dividing between 2 paths. One path into a secure satellite uplink. The other into Jay's cube. The system spoke. Split consciousness protocol confirmed. Hybrid suspended. Control passed to independent carrier. Jay stepped back. What did you do? 5 asked. I didn't. Choose for humanity, Jay said. I chose to let them choose. He looked at the cube. The code is now a seed. Not a weapon, not a ruler, just knowledge. He turned to 5, and now we give it to the people. 5's eyes widened. They won't use it right. Maybe not, Jay said. But at least they'll get the chance. Vault began to shut down. The pod dimmed. A message appeared on every screen. Protocol passed. Decision deferred. Humanity restored. Jay walked past 5 without a word. Outside, the sky over Mars had begun to shift from black to deep red as the sun broke the horizon. He looked at it for a long time. And for the first time in a long time, Jay Halden didn't feel like a copy. He felt real.